John chapter 2, begin on verse 1. And the third day there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. And both Jesus was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus said unto him, They have no wine. Jesus said unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. His mother said unto the servant, Whatsoever he said unto you, do it. And there were set there 6 water pots of stone, after the manner of purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece. Jesus said unto them, Fill the water pots with water. And they filled them up to the brim. And he said unto them, Draw out now, and bear unto the governor of the feast. And they bare it. When the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and knew not whence it was, but the servants which drew the water knew, the governor of the feast called the bridegroom, and said unto him, Every man at the beginning doth set forth good wine, and when men have well drunk, then that which is worse, but thou hast kept the good wine until now. This beginning of miracles that Jesus in Cana of Galilee, and manifested forth his glory, and his disciples believed on him. All right. Now I wanted to read it to get it over with so we can go through it. We have a marriage. Now this is the first miracle that we will see Jesus do. It's the first miracle that is written. Now this miracle correlates to another first miracle. Now understand this. The mom said, Jesus, they're out of wine. And Jesus said, what do I have to do with that? That's none of my business. That's what that really means. That's not any of my business. That's not my concern. Well, why would Jesus say that's not his concern? Because if you're getting married and you know the tradition of marriage during Jesus' time is very different than our tradition of marriage. We have different traditions of marriage. And all has to do with money. If you want to be cheap, you go and elope. All you have to do is go pay whatever the court says is the fee. And you elope and you got married. Or if not, you can have a small gathering together and invite just family and some friends and get married. Or you can do a blown out occasion and have a huge gown and a long train and have a big group of people up there with you and have the big reception afterwards. And that shows you got money. That wasn't the tradition of the time of Jesus. The tradition was to have a feast for a whole entire week. And you had to pay for everyone eating your food for a whole entire week. How would you like that marriage ceremony? So Jesus goes and Mary said, come on, Jesus, we know these people, they don't have it very well. They're kind of poor. Can you help out? So that's not any of my business. Yeah, they should have known that it requires more than just a little bit of wine that they got. And who knows how many days they'd already been drinking. But Jesus went and he found the pots. And these pots were supposedly used for purifying yourself. This is what the Levites used to wash themselves so they can go to the temple and do their ceremonial things. These were washing containers. So I want to put it in words that we understand. These were the same as having 6 bathtubs. And Jesus said, go fill the bathtubs. But before Jesus said anything, the mom kind of ignored Jesus. Any of us ever done that? Yeah, you have, when God says something and you say something else. But thank God that He knows some of us. And He does for us anyway, because He already knows us. It's a little distracting. Let's continue. So she went and she said, whatever He says do it. These are some good servants, don't you think? Because they were crazy enough to do exactly what He told them to do. Now it sounds really easy. It sounds, kind of flippant. Fill these 6 pots with water. And we're thinking, here, we're going to get a hose and turn on the water and just sit there and just be, we're just going to fill it up. That's not what they had to do. They had to walk to the well. They had to draw water from the well. They had to walk back, bucket number 1. Let's walk back, get bucket number 2. Who knows how many buckets they had to get to fill the first water container. See, some of us want some miracles, but don't realize sometimes you got to work for it. It's not just a little faith. Well, all the Bible says I have to have faith as a mustard seed. No, sometimes it don't come that way. I have seen people just get healed for, no apparent reason. It was really, really quick. But I've seen people that have suffered with their disease for years before there was any healing. So what's the difference? Here's the difference. Somebody was doing the work. And who knows how many hours it took before they filled all 6 of the water pots. And Jesus did not pray. See, I'm really going to mess up your theology here. Because we get all spiritual all of a sudden. Because you want to be seen by people that, I want them to think that I'm spiritual. Lord God, thou who art high and mighty and highly lifted up, would you look upon this water and change the content? Jesus didn't do any of that. It was amazing what Jesus told them to do next. And here's the irony. They did it. You know what Jesus said after they finished filling up all 6? He said, now get some of it and go give it to the leader up there. Now, you know they could have gotten fired if all they did was give the man some dirty water. By the way, the water they drank wasn't all that clean. It was from the well. It had some minerals in it. It wasn't filtered. It wasn't through the process of reverse osmosis. Didn't have any of that. This was well water. And they poured it out on a glass and went up there to the leader of the group and gave them the water. Now, we would have messed up, right? How many would have messed up already? Okay, am I the only one to think I would have messed up? I would have stopped Jesus dead in his tracks. And who you think you are? Just because I'm a servant don't mean I'm a fool. You just told me to put some water in this thing. I just filled it with water. Now you want me to go up there and give the man some water? What's wrong with you? They didn't do any of that. They went and they didn't even question it after the man drank. Man drank the water. And then he got up. He was so excited about that water. He got up and decided to give a speech. And his speech was this. Every wedding I've gone to, people always give the best wine in the beginning and wait till everybody gets drunk. And after everybody is good and drunk to where you don't care what you're drinking, they bring the worst stuff, the cheapness. This is the first time I ever gone to the wedding that you wait for the last to bring the best. So now let's get the message out of this. This is Jesus' first miracle that we know of. But mind you, according to Mary, this was not the first miracle she saw. Well, how do I know that? Because Mary said, whatever he says do, do. See, Jesus wasn't all of a sudden God in the flesh. Jesus had been God in the flesh. From before she had even Jesus in her womb, she was already told who he was. She was told he will be called Emmanuel, which being translated means God has come with us. She already knew who he was. She already took him to the temple on the day 8 to have him circumcised. And one man grabbed him and said, this is the one that God told me my eyes will be able to see before I die. And now I am ready to die. She saw as another woman grabbed him and began to prophesy of how he was going to change the world. She heard of how her heart would be pierced because of what would happen to him. She saw him as he stayed behind and said, don't you know I am supposed to be in my Father's business? Why are you looking for me? This is my Father's house. This is where I'm supposed to be. She knew all of this. So now when he is 29, 30 years old, and she's lived with him, and no, he was not one of those failure to launch. He was not at home living with his mama so his mama can wash his underwear. He was at home living with his mama because his mama was living with him. His father was no longer alive. He was the man of the house. He was taking care of his widow mother. Kind of changed things, right? So Jesus is not just some little thug going around the street, come on, follow me. He was a man of scruples. You know, he had standards. And here he is. He tells the woman, it's not my time yet. But what does that mean? I'm not supposed to show everybody who I am yet. I'm really not. You're expediting things. I know you don't understand this, but the earlier I start, the earlier I finish. This is not my time yet. And she paid him no attention. She went on with her friends and kept on talking as if Jesus said nothing. He's my son. He's going to do the right thing. He's not going to let this wedding just go flounder down. He's going to do something. So his first miracle was to keep the party going. So let's see why wine. In the Bible, wine always is joy. God wants us to have joy. But see, in the beginning, we can have joy, which we thought was good joy. You know, when you lived in the world and you were doing the things of the world, you thought you were having a good time. You really did. You knew how to party hardy and you thought you were having the best wine ever. But Jesus came into your life and he changed that watery wine you had and made it into the new wine. The good stuff. Now you're living. But let's go back to the first miracle that happened for Moses. First miracle that Moses did was changing water into blood. What's the difference? What's the correlation? Well, life is in the blood. And when you lost your blood, is death. First miracle that Moses did was changing water into something that was dead. And here Jesus changes water into life. Come on, please grab it if you want it. Grab it if you want it. The world will come and change your water to death. Would suck the life out of you. You think that you're living, but you're dying. Do you know that today you're one day more dead than you were yesterday? Anyone know that? I have the young one saying, I don't know, I don't feel more dead today. I'm growing, I'm getting taller, I got more life in me. You have constantly, you have cells that are dying. Then you have cells that are growing and being birthed constantly. But every day we're a day closer to death. Every day. We're one day less to live. If you count, there are 24 hours in a day. Each hour has 60 minutes. Every minute that passes will be a minute you'll never have again. That's it. That minute is gone. For those people who like to procrastinate, wait till last minute, stop and think how many minutes you've wasted. You know, my daughter is behind on her schoolwork, but my daughter is ahead on some TV shows. See, we have Netflix to where we don't have it's coming on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. We can have all 24 episodes available to us. And boy, our family will pick a TV show, oh, we like this. And we're episode number 5, but that wouldn't be good enough for my daughter. She'll go to her room and watch episode 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 and 12. And next thing you know, 3 days later, I finished the whole TV show. We got to find a new one. But she's behind on her schoolwork. So how is that possible? She procrastinates. She spends her time on things that are not fruitful, that she'll never get anything out of. It's the waste of time. It's the sucking up of life. No life in there. I said, well, are you anti-TV? No. We're mindful. We like watching things that are safe for our kids. So we pick shows that are safe for our kids. And we let them entertain themselves. But life is not all about entertainment. God did not bring us wine so we can be winos. It is the truth. You think Jesus changed the water into wine to have everybody get drunk? No, this is what he waited. He waited for everyone to get drunk to then give them the good wine. In your own life, you got drunk already. Got drunk with the lust and envy and hate and strife. And here comes the new wine. What's the new wine for? Because you don't drink good wine to get drunk. Any wine connoisseurs here? I mean, you even get to spit out good wine. I'm really messing it up, aren't you? I'm really messing it up for you. You're not supposed to swallow the good wine when you're tasting it. You ever go to a wine tasting? You're supposed to sit there and smell it. You think a wino is going to grab the wine, a bottle of wine, and tell me I'm going to smell it? They don't want to smell it. They want to get the effect of the wine. I want it inside of me. I want it for it to be able to change the way how I think and how I reason. I asked one of the Mexican members that we had, why is it that you get drunk every weekend? He said, it is to drown out my sorrows. I mean, you're drowning your sorrows? Yeah, but when you are no longer drunk, you got more sorrows than when you started drowning the sorrows. It's not working. You're not drowning the sorrows. You are compacting them. You're making more sorrows. Well, it's the only way I know how to cope. So let's make sense of this. You came here to work to send money to your poor family in Mexico so they can eat. But on the weekend, you're drinking all the money on beer. And then you get up on Monday and realize you didn't send the money once again to your family. So next week, you're going to drown the sorrows again from last week when you drowned the sorrows. From the previous week when you drowned the sorrows. From the week before that when you drowned the sorrows. To go back 2 years ago of you going back and drowning the sorrows every weekend. And if it's not working, you need to fix it. So why am I saying that? Because that sounds like us. It sounds like us. You know, there was a period of music I don't really like. It's called the Baroque period. I'm not a fan of Johann Sebastian Bach. I consider his music to be kind of frivolous, even though we're supposed to, if you're a musician, you have to study Bach, because the 2-part fugue and the 3-part fugue and the 4-part fugue is important. Well, I don't like the fugues and I don't like Bach. But it was during the Baroque period. But what I like about the Baroque period is I can always use that if it's not Baroque, don't fix it. But if it's broke, please change what you're doing. Don't keep on doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Let me use biblical language so you can understand how God thinks this is. God says it this way in His Word. Only a dog returns to his vomit. Now, see, we were born, but before we were born, we were in our mother's womb for 9 months. We were born to grow. We weren't born like the little fawn in the field, that she is born and 2 hours later, she got 2 hours to learn how to run. We weren't made like that. God didn't make us for us to, okay, you got 2 hours to survive, or else that's it for you. He made us so we can learn. And we learn. And sometimes you got some that learn slower than others. But the truth is, even the slow ones can learn. My wife was telling me this week about one of her students that she has at the Cerebral Palsy Center. He's not able to speak correctly. He has a speech impediment because he has cerebral palsy. But she came home very excited because she said, you know, he speaks in his sleep. And I'm thinking, well, that's not no big deal. A lot of people speak in their sleep. But she said, but honey, he speaks normal when he's asleep. He only speaks with problems when he's awake. When he's unconscious, he can speak just as normal as you and me. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. How did he learn to speak right? You know, his unconscious mind learned how to speak right while his conscious mind couldn't do it. But it was a learning process. He still had to learn it. He didn't. If you saw a baby just come out of the womb and the baby locked his eyes to your eyes and say, what's happened, dude? I'm going to start to pray to cast that demon out. Because that baby is not supposed to be talking yet. He's not supposed to be able to verbalize his ideas. You imagine him coming out of the womb and, oh, the light is too bright. I just came from the darkness. Turn all these lights off. I think the doctor would drop him on his head. Because that baby is not supposed to be that way. That baby is supposed to be able to cry. The baby is only form of communication for at least the next 8 months is crying. That's it. I'm hungry. Wah. I'm cold. Wah. I'm full. Wah. My stomach hurt. Wah. For every little thing, change me. Wah. So every time you hear the whining of the baby, what's wrong? Let me check. Let me go through my list. You change the diaper. His diaper is good. You don't have a fever. He's probably colicky. Let me pick him up. Let me pat him on the back. He probably got gas. You know, so we got to do a lot of maybe. And finally you find something and that's what it was. But when that kid is able to verbalize, Mommy, I have a headache. But what if the baby can't verbalize that ever? That baby is not normal. That baby has issues. We need to find special help. But when finding special help, we still can discover they can learn. God did not give us new wine so we can go around telling everybody, taste it. That's not what our wine is for. We have new wine, which means we have a life in joy. My life is supposed to be full of joy. My life not supposed to. I grew up in the Holiness Church. There was a prerequisite to being a pastor's wife in the Holiness Church. At least that's what I thought. The prerequisite that I thought a pastor's wife needed to have to be a pastor's wife is to eat a lemon just before service on Sundays. I thought so because she'll come to church and look so bitter. And look at everybody like you stink, you're nasty, I can't stand you. And look at them from head to toe and always the pastor's wife. You know, and we thought this was holiness. I looked at some of my wife's pictures of her family when they were young. And whenever they had to pose for a picture, they said, smile. Smile. Is that the best smile you can give me? Then they had grandkids. Come on, grandkids, smile. And up to now, those kids are in their 20s. Smile. So why can't you smile? Someone tell you it's a sin to show your teeth? What is it about you? Why are you that way? Because this is how we take pictures. We have to look serious People can take us seriously. I'm scared of people who can't smile. I really am. I don't want them around my kids. I don't want them around my kids. I'm serious. I don't. Because they look devious to me. They're up to something. Something not right when you can't enjoy your life. Something wrong with you when there is no joy. God made us to have joy. Let me tell you that the disciples tried to stop Jesus one time. And all the kids were around Jesus. And they went shooing the kids. Go on, get away from the rabbi. Get away from him. Don't you know he's a man of God? Stay away from him. Little kids always bothering the master. Jesus looked at the disciples and said, what's wrong with y'all? Don't stop the kids from coming unto me, for the kingdom of heaven is as such as these. Oh, if you haven't figured it out, God said heaven, it's like having a whole bunch of kids. Well, what are kids like? This is what normal kids are like. You don't ever have to tell them to play. You ever have to go tell your kid to go play? Go play now, go play. We have 2 special need kids, boy. You can put them on timeout and they have a little piece of paper. I mean, that's all they have, a little piece of paper. Next thing you know, you got one little piece of paper that became a million little pieces. Why did you do that? Because what? Hey, I got to keep my mind entertained. I like to play. I'm a kid. Kids play. All I found around me was a little paper. If it's not a little paper, it's a little stick. If it's not a stick, it's a little string. I mean, whatever little thing they can find, they go do something with a little something. I mean, I'm playing. When my 14-year-old son was little, you didn't have to give him a toy. Here. It was his airplane. And he's following his hand. It's his airplane. What are you doing? Mi alone. Mi alone. He used to speak Spanish then. Avión is plane. He said alone. Alone. He's flying his airplane. Well, Jesus said this is how the kingdom of heaven is. Just like these little kids. Wait a second. The little kids weren't afraid to go to Jesus. You mean to tell me that Jesus was probably playing with them too? Come on, grab my hand, let's go. Your turn. I want to do the hula hoop. And the disciple looking at Jesus like, we need to keep him away from those kids. Because, you know, he act crazy when he gets around little kids, you know. Just, y'all stay away from me. He said, no, y'all don't get it. This is what heaven is like. You want to know what joy is? Stop being so serious. You got stuff to work on? Work on that and stop beating yourself over their head. I gotta do this. Do it. You know how easy it is to change? You know how the Bible says change occurs? Change occurs like this. I'm working on it. No, you haven't changed yet. Because you don't have to work on change. Change happens. Well, what do you mean? You want to change cars? You go to a car dealership? You come back with a car? Did you got to go through the process of putting on the tires on the car? Or going in and making the tires yourself and putting rubber on it? Do you have to go to the auto part that they put the radio in and says, okay, let me build my own radio? Did you have to go and sew your own seats on? No, you know what you did? You spent a few hours at the dealership, you were approved, you came back with a car. How easy was it to change? It wasn't hard. But we make our changes to be a lifelong process. You know the smoker that stopped smoking the very first time he stopped. Oh, I haven't been with a cigarette for 7 years. I officially stopped smoking. No, you idiot. You stopped smoking 7 years ago. Now you're no longer a smoker. Well, I still got that urge. Well, the urge is something different. See, when you change, you change. It doesn't mean that you're not going to still feel like going back. You're going to feel like going back. And you might go back. And then you wake up, oh, I can never, I cut it out. And Jesus said, though the righteous man falls 70 times, God will raise him up. Wait, you missed it. How can the righteous person fall? Doesn't that make them unrighteous when they fall? So Jesus is not counting the many times you fell. He's counting the many times you got back up. He was righteous because he fell 70 times. But if he only fell one time and stayed down there, he will not be righteous. Come on, I'm speaking volumes here. Get up, wipe yourself up, keep on trucking. I can never get this right. I'm always messing up. All right, listen, I kind of learned the lingo of the language. This is the lingo to me. I've done this before. I got over it before. I'm going to get over it again. This didn't come to whoop me. I came to whoop it. Said, I am made of the new wine. I'm not made from the old stuff. See, Jesus didn't put this thing into a leather container so I can carry it around and drink just a little at a time. No, he put it into something made out of stone so I can drink it up quickly. Not sit there, okay, we're going to keep it, it's vintage. This is a 1956 bottle. This was Messiah made. 0000 is one of a kind, is now worth $1 billion. No, he didn't bring it for that. You know, it's like, okay, this is the fruit of the wine. It didn't come from the fruit. You imagine how much that bottle of wine will cost? You got people that are just saving up wine. That's their problem. I don't want to save any of it. Jesus did not come for you to be saving your wine. I'm keeping this for a good opportunity. You want to show a joy when all of a sudden you got people you want to impress. That's not joy. That's called hypocrisy. We went last night to a concert, Gladys Knight. I've never been to a Gladys Knight concert before. For all those that are looking at, oh, he is just a heathen going to... someone bought us tickets to Gladys Knight, and there were over $100 a ticket, and we went. And Gladys Knight didn't sing anything anti-Jesus and anti-the Holy Spirit and anti-God. So we enjoyed it. But we were in a room full of people who did not know how to enjoy Gladys Knight. See, I can talk about wine with this. Because they looked at Gladys Knight the same way my wife's family takes pictures. She's singing her heart out with a live band, and they're like this. While me, I couldn't contain myself because I have that new wine inside of me, and I heard the beat. And I'm bebopping with music, and I'm, and when she started singing really soft that I could barely hear what she's saying, I'm leaning forward and going with the beat. And when she started putting the microphone down like this and saying hi, I'm like holding my breath, like, please don't put that mic too close because I know you're really singing loud because your mic is down here and I can still hear you. And boy, and I really thoroughly enjoyed that concert. And I watched people walk out that place like if they were walking out of the Presbyterian church. Just thinking of where we're going to go eat. Like these people don't know anything about wine. They can get the expensive stuff because they go and watch all these concerts for $100 a ticket. And here I am, my very first time sitting there. I'm going to enjoy the mess out of this concert. Because who knows if something happened to Gladys Knight and you never hear her sing again. Say, hey, I was there. I got to hear it. I got to see it. I got to take part of her performance. I thoroughly enjoyed it. See, those same, my wife said, honey, is that that's exactly how they go to church. So you're right. They're the ones that are sitting down with that solemn look. during praise and worship. You know what they're thinking? You're not impressing me. I watched Gladys Knight and I wasn't impressed. I watched Chicago last month and I wasn't impressed. Hey, I watched the London Philharmonic Orchestra the month before. I wasn't impressed. I saw the Nutcracker and I wasn't impressed. I've seen and heard and I wasn't impressed. So you're not going to impress me with what you do. I've had better wine than you can afford. So I'm not impressed. So for all of those, Jesus can really mess them up. Because he can say unto this moment, you never really had wine. Because the wine you had came from grapes, while the one I have came from God. It's very different. So when you're changing one substance into another substance, this is something we've been trying to do from the beginning of time. Did y'all know that? There were a group of people, they were called alchemists. And the alchemist's job was to try to figure out how to change metal into gold. And people gave up their whole entire life to try to come up with a way of making metal into gold. Some of us that have watched movies and heard of the Sorcerer's Stone, or what was it called? Let me look and find to make sure I'm giving you the right, the Philosopher's Stone. We've seen that in a movie before. Philosopher's Stone, supposedly it's not real, it's what they said that they discovered. It's a stone that would change metal into gold. And they also came up with some elixir of life. If you drink from it, you'll live forever. That's alchemy. Jesus was not an alchemist. By the way, we still do alchemy today. We just don't call it alchemy because alchemy had what we will call science with religion and mythology all put together. But chemistry came from alchemy. So did medicine. So some good came out of it. But see, Jesus wasn't doing no alchemy. Jesus didn't wave or put no stick inside the water and say, now this stick shall make this this water into wine, and there it is. We shall call this stick the staff of Moses. He didn't do none of that. He wasn't trying to be an alchemist. And the only people that knew that he made a miracle, did a miracle, was the servants and his disciples. He didn't go around talking about you had some of that wine. You got some, didn't you get some? That was some good wine, wasn't it? Yeah, you know, I'm not kidding when I make wine. That's the best wine I ever. He didn't prop himself up, say, hey, you better recognize. He didn't do none of that. No one knew. And the servants watched. And the servants knew they're about to drink some water. I want to see what's going to happen. I know I'm going to get fired after this, but this is going to be funny. I can see the servant all sitting there all looking at them because they're taking it to them and it's still water. So I got water in this cup. This is just plain old water. This is H2O. This is agua. They're walking out to the guy. Here you go. And the guy grabs hold of it and this one got legs. This is a good wine. It has some miles in it, boy. It's very earthy. Get up. I mean, could you imagine what kind of wine that must have been like? For someone to take a drink and have to stop in the middle of their drink? Wait, hold on just a minute. Hold on. I've never seen nothing like this before. Gotta say like my dad, I never see it so yet. Kind of people gonna have this party. You know, you gonna throw a party and you gonna wait till everybody got drunk. They can't even appreciate the goodness of this wine. Uh-oh. I didn't say that, did I? There's some people that are not going to appreciate the good wine that you are. Don't sit there trying to, well, you better recognize who I am. You know I'm saved, sanctified, filled with. If you got to say all that, you might as well hang it up. You shouldn't have to go around trying to prove your accolades. You know, we have a friend of ours, and whenever she gets mad, she tells everybody who she is. I mean, she's fine and dandy and happy until when someone talks to her the wrong way. Do you know who I am? I am a medical doctor. I don't have to take this. I'm like, how being a medical doctor going to help you in this situation right now? I mean, if they're having a heart attack, then you can do something. You know, they got an open wound, then I'm a doctor. But you're about to get a ticket? That's not going to help you any. You know, it's like, I hope you get in a car accident and come into my emergency room. I'm going to let you die. Of course, telling someone who you are then, it doesn't make any sense. And that's what we decide to do. We get offended over folks and what they said because they know who they're talking to. I do that too, and I've kind of learned to keep it to myself. Now, you know what? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I give you up to God. I'm going to fool with you. You're not going to mess up my day for the rest of my days. Remember one time something happened recently and Pastor Chris says, okay, we're never going to hear the end of it. And he don't know that talk volume to me. I came and I made a mental note. Do not mention this again. Say, why? He just told me they affect me so much that I can be mad about it for a long time to come. Yeah. And I said, I don't want to do that. I don't want some buffoon to buffoon me. I don't want to be waking up in the morning and I'm so mad. Oh, what they did to me. You know, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to leave this thing alone. I'm going to stop messing with it. I'm going to stop pressing my own buttons because I know where mine are, and it's in the key of F sharp. I know where it is. I know which notes to press. I know which denomination numbers and their orders. So I came back. I said, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to keep this to myself. He just preached some sermon to me. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to learn from this. So I'm not going to let them keep on pestering me. And you know what? They made it worse. They sent me a letter and said that I did not go to court when I was supposed to go to court when I wasn't supposed to go to court yet. And then they said, okay, we're going to suspend your driver's license. I said, oh my goodness, Lord God, help me. These people want me to get mad. They really do. They want me to get mad. But man, don't they know how horrible it is to be in the hand of an angry God? Oh, I'd rather than be there than have to deal with my anger. My anger subsides. God's anger doesn't. You know, the Bible said this about God. It is better for you to hang a rope around your neck, to tie it upon a big, humongous rock, to get on a ship and find the deepest part of the ocean and throw that rock over. He said it is better for you. Oh my goodness. But then he said this, it is better for you to do that, to offend one of my little ones. You know, it's great to have joy. But then when I know I have a God that's watching me and looking out for my back, I have no reason to be hung up over something. If I have something that I need to change, I need to write it down and say, today I'm working on this. If it's still in me, make sure in the morning I'm still working on this. The next morning I'm still working on it. Well, why? The things that are in you because they came in you. They're part of your person. And to change your person is the hardest thing you could ever do. Well, you want me to be fake. No, I want you to change. Well, you can't expect that from me. Wait, you're telling God that he can't expect for you to change? Come on now, let's go backward a little. Let's take it back. Take it back. Yeah, God, I can change. Because I can do all things through Christ's strength. I was thinking about that this week. That one verse. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. We love that verse, don't we? Anybody here not like this verse? It's one of the favorite verse we can quote, right? When we were learning in school and we had a test, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But we got to go back to when Paul was saying, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. Paul was saying, hey, I've learned to be content with having much. I've learned to be content with having little. I've learned to be content having lots of food. I've learned to be content going hungry. I've learned to be content in every situation that I am in. And I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Don't take it out of context. Don't just use it as some little magic words. Abracadabra, I can do all things. Do the one, or I can do all things through Christ. Cut that out. That's not, hey, take it in its full content. Everything can be going wrong, and I can do it. Everything can be going right, and I can do it. I can have a really messed up day, and I can do it. My husband can really tick me off, and I can do it. My wife can pull the hairs out of my head, but I can do it. Through Christ who gives me strength. I can handle all of this. Well, why? Because I got that new wine. Man, I got the wine that didn't even come with an introduction. There was no prelude. There was no postlude afterwards. It was just very simply put. Take it. Drink it. Enjoy it. First miracle known by Jesus. Hey, let's keep the party going. Those who were drunk, they probably couldn't drink any. They probably were too drunk. They tell me that you pass out after you drink too much. I'm glad I'm not around those people. But are you made of the new wine? Because if you are, you're supposed to have joy. For the sign of wine is joy. You're happy. Even if it is just a chemical mindset, you still show happiness. I love being around drunk people. I don't condone being drunk. Don't misunderstand me. I just find it funny to be around drunk people. Because drunk people love everybody. Go to a perfectly good stranger and give him a hug. I love you, man. And I'm just looking at them, I love you too. Whoever you are. How about if we were spiritually drunk like that? I love you, man. You can't do anything to make me mad. Go ahead, try. Come on, I dare you. I double dog dare you. Come on, try it. Or you're walking around and you still carry the sins of your father on you. You know what I'm talking about. You get around people that, according to their age, they're not supposed to be that bitter. They're not supposed to be that crude and that mean. And you know, have you ever been around a bitter old person? I know I have. And boy, the moment I see them at Walmart, I walk the other way. Because, you know, they're vampires to me. They suck your blood. Just being around them for 15 minutes, when you leave, you feel weak. You know, it's like, man, you just tugged on my spirit and just took all you could. I want to be around people who are joyful because I can be free. The Bible says where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. We're not all bound up. You know what stress is? Stress is being bound up. You ever felt stressed? You know, on the back of your neck, your shoulders, your back, your muscles all really, really tight. I had to learn, hey, take some deep breaths. Learn to relax. Relax. Life is not that serious. But my mortgage, relax. It's just a bill. But the light, relax. But the dentist appointment tomorrow, relax. Life is life. Jesus came so you can have life and have it more abundantly. What is life? It is a series of ups and downs. Well, for those of you who are afraid of roller coasters, I like them. I like to look over my fall and be like, why did I come up here? Whatever got into me to... I like when I get off the roller coaster, I said, I did it. I was way up there. I like that. That's what life is. Life is a roller coaster. You'll have some swoops and some hoops and some going ups and some fall down quickly. And Jesus came to make the roller coaster longer. Come on, they tell me you enjoy it more when you put your hands up. I've seen pictures when I got back from SeaWorld and on the big fall. And my face said, I'm enjoying this ride like crazy. And you have to see my daughter. Her face is like this. It's like, I'm like, hey! It's all a matter of how you do life. You can enjoy your fall, or you can cringe at it. And I don't mean you fell as your sinning fall. I mean, life has its own falls all by itself. You don't have to do good, bad, or neutral. Just let life take its course and you're going to have some ups and some downs. Learn to enjoy the ride. Stop trying to make things happen. I heard this from Gladys Knight. She says, I never try to make anything happen. I just enjoy the journey. I said, man, that's awesome. Stop trying to get from point A to point B, but watch the trees. Watch the grass. Remember driving to Chicago. Oh, what a lonesome ride. You know what we saw when we hit Illinois? We saw corn. And corn. And more corn. And just when we were still 10 miles away from the city, we're still seeing corn. Say, what did you see on the way to Chicago? Well, in St. Louis, we stopped and looked at the arch. And boy, it was a good thing to see because we are going to only see corn from this point on. But instead of concentrating on the view, man, I'm tired of seeing corn. Lord God, I thank you there's a street that we can drive through that'll take us from here to there, even though it's lonely and all we see is corn. Imagine if there was no road to get there. We drove through Arizona one time when I was a kid. My sister was asleep. And she woke up in a frantic scream. Just screaming from the top of her lungs. She was like 6 years old. She looked out the window and the sun was coming down. It was all orange in the background, in the desert. And she said, the stick men are coming. The stick men are coming. The stick men are coming. Because all she saw was cacti. I didn't like that ride. I didn't like that journey because I'd been awake watching the cacti. But after watching my sister scream frantically, to this very day I can enjoy the cacti. It is a pleasant memory to me to go through the west and stop at a rest area to where you have tall grasses, and at 6 o'clock to see all the rabbits come out of the bushes. What an awesome trip. To go to the total desert where you saw nothing but gold sand beyond your eyes' periphery. What a trip. What a wonder. Look at the things that our life has brought us, the journey that we have come through. And we've had so many wonders to happen to us, and yet we're bitter. You have to learn, as my mom said when we were growing up, you have to learn to laugh so you won't cry. You take the good and the bad, you take them both, and then you have the facts of life.
That's right.
Life is not all good things. It's not all good smelling roses. But life is life. And I'm glad mine is not boring. I'm glad I got some stuff that I still have to walk through. And I have decided not to take the easy road. I'm going to take the road that's less traveled. Because on that road, I get to see things that others haven't seen in years.